Carrie here from Healing Humanity, the power of a proper human diet. And I am going on a carnivore grocery haul, and I'm all alone today. Jen wasn't feeling well. Normally today Jen and I have our little date day and we get some grocery shopping done, and we'll go and preview a movie for the world famous Montello Theater. She lifted something weird and messed up her lower back, so she's gonna just chill and relax today. So I am on my own. I'm heading out to Costco. And would you believe this? It has been almost 1 year. I believe I'm 20 days away from being on the proper human diet now for a year. I'm 20 days shy of being carnivore for 1 year now. Cheers to that. I got my water with me. I'm heading into like a 45-minute hour drive away. I wanted to talk a little bit about what I've learned over the course of a year and what we do for our grocery haul now. I'm carnivore, Emma's carnivore, my daughter Lily's carnivore, Jen is ketovore, my daughter Katie's keto, and Alyssa is carnivore. Most of my family is carnivore right now and pretty darn close. And I've been getting I get really good comments and I get some bad comments. I was getting some bad comments. They're like, aren't you just ashamed that your family's fallen off of carnivore while you stuck to it? And my answer to that is no. Not at all. I'm proud of my family. I'm happy for my family. Their argument was because I haven't cheated. And I'm coming up on 1 year, and I haven't had a single piece of pepper. I haven't had any fruit. I haven't had a single granule of rice. It's literally only been beef, butter, bacon, eggs. I had one piece of gum in the last year. That was it. I chewed it for a little bit. I spit it out because it's kind of a long story. I was doing an interview on TV and Jen was like, your breath is stank nasty and you got to do something. That was it. That was the only thing I probably messed up on. I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. I did the ketogenic diet on and off for probably 10 years and I cheated probably 1,000,000 times. I'm proud of my family. They spent their whole lives eating foods the wrong way. So if they didn't just go on carnivore and stick to it 100%, they had a couple stumbling blocks. They're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. God is perfect. Humans are not perfect. So I don't expect my family to be perfect. What I am happy about is, like Emma, she fell off the wagon a couple times. But she knows when she falls off the wagon that it's bad, and she's learned, and I've learned myself that way. I fell off the wagon 1,000,000 times on keto, and I learned that, one, I never enjoyed it. I always said, let's have a cheat day, and I would cheat, and I never felt good about it. I always regretted it. And so she's younger, and she's learning those things. What I'm very happy about, absolutely excited about, is let's say my whole family right now quits and goes back to the standard American diet. I would still be thankful, grateful, and blessed that they at least have this as a tool in their toolbox. If, God forbid, Emma or Alyssa or Katie or Lily or Jen ever gets as sick as I was sick, as hopeless as I was hopeless, I was in such a deep and dark place for most of my adult life, and the girls saw me like that. And that's my biggest regret. I'm a man. I can stand it. Like, whatever happened to me happened to me. I can deal with that. What I can't deal with is what I had to put them through, and they've seen it. And God forbid that ever happens to Emma or Alyssa or Katie, that they get depression and anxiety, or they get some other sickness, autoimmune disorders, or snoring, or type 2 diabetes. They have this now. It's a bell that they can't unring. They can't unlearn this. They have this powerful tool in their toolbox, and maybe Emma falls off the wagon. I don't think she will, but maybe she does. And before you know it, she's 40 years old and she's hopelessly depressed and anxious. She knows this works and she has it as a tool in her toolbox. But that's worst case scenario. What's amazing and what I'm so thankful for now is, at one point the whole family was carnivore, and then a couple of them fell off. At this very point now, they're not all carnivore, but the majority, 4 of us are, 3 or 4, and then the other 2 are ketovore, and they're almost there. They're really close. So anyhow, I'm going on a Costco grocery haul, which was the title of this live stream. And I was going to take you guys with to talk about a little bit what we get on the grocery haul. Now, some of you might be saying, I thought you get most of your meat from your neighbors. I try to, and I highly encourage it. I'm going to get better. I'm going to be talking to them to see if I can order a whole cow. The problem is, I shouted out my neighbor in a couple of YouTube videos, and the community is getting around them, which is awesome. I'm so thankful for it. But the last couple of times we check in with them on Facebook, and we've been in there They sell out. They get a cow in. Logistically, it's a big problem for them. They get a cow in, all the steaks are gone, and they only have a ton of ground beef left. So in those cases, I've still been going to Costco. But I have to fix that. I want to get more local. There just hasn't been enough. But it's an excuse. I got to stop with the excuses. I just got to do it. So in the next video, I will show you getting more local and what we're doing there. But here's what we normally do from Costco. Some tips. Maybe this will help you guys out a little bit. Number one of the things on carnivore that's tricky, it isn't. It's deceitful, but every time you want to eat, you got to cook something. It's the same thing on the standard American diet, but worse because you got to have recipes and all these ingredients. It's so much simpler on carnivore. But some people will argue, every time I got to cook, I got to do so. I got to make something or make a mess or whatever. Here's one of my tips from Costco. Costco has grass-fed beef patties, burger patties, right? And they're so simple. Emma, Katie, Alyssa, they love these. I'll buy a sleeve of them. They're in the frozen section, so they're frozen. But they're grass-fed, they're good quality. Yes, they're kind of expensive, but if it's all you're eating on carnivore, it's grass-fed, it's good meat. I'll get a sleeve of those, and the girls will take them anytime they're hungry. It couldn't be simpler. You gotta have an air fryer. Air fryer is a lifesaver on carnivore. And that's what they'll do. They can fit 4 patties in the air fryer. They'll cook up 4 patties, flip them in the middle, pull them out. You got 4 burger patties. The air fryer we have, shout out Bill Knott, is the Ninja. It's a Ninja air fryer. And there's tons of different air fryers nowadays. You know, you can get a million different types of them. What I would suggest is this. The Ninja one that I have is wonderful, and Bill told me about this. The lid, if you look at the lid of your air fryer, if it's got a heating element on the top, you're in business. And that's why I love it. I cook steak in my air fryer, and you can broil up to 450 degrees. It gets a nice, crisp bark on your steak or your burger patties. So look for an air fryer with that. But that's one of the things I will be getting from Costco today is more burger patties. The girls love them. They go through them quickly. I am on Lion Diet right now. I just decided to try it. There's nothing wrong with carnivore. There's nothing wrong with bacon. I get this comment all the time. Why are you laying off on the bacon? I have a highly addictive behavior. I will eat a whole pack of bacon, and I was doing that. I would say instead of making up 4 pieces like I see some of my favorite carnivore YouTubers do, they're smarter than me. I'm like, I'm not going to mess up the whole house. I'm just going to make the whole pack of bacon. Emma's going to eat some. Alyssa's going to eat some. I'm going to eat some. I make the whole pack up. Well, if they're off at school or they're off doing something and the whole pack's sitting there, I was eating too much. I was getting some weird inflammation in my back. Probably not from the bacon. Who knows what it was from, but I said, I'm going to do Lion Diet, and I've been doing it for like 6 days now. I feel great. It's easier. I'm not telling anyone what to do. I will say this, though. If you're doing carnivore and you feel like you're stalling out, or maybe you're getting some inflammation back, like I started getting some inflammation in my lower back, try Lion Diet for a couple days. So I'm rambling now. Back to the grocery shopping haul, the title of the video. Those grass-fed beef patties at Costco are great. The other thing I get from the frozen section at Costco is chicken wings. They've got nothing in them but they're chicken wings, and they come in a bag. They're kind of expensive, but it's a big bag. I think it's 10 pounds. And another air fryer. They take a little bit longer in the air fryer, but oh my goodness, those are better than going to a restaurant. I'll tell you what. And they're better than going to a restaurant because they're natural. They're not cooked in some crazy seed oil. Now, I know Buffalo Wild Wings is reported to just use beef tallow. So if you can get Buffalo Wild Wings plain, you're in good shape. But my buddy Jeff in Canada was telling me they closed down a lot of those. And then I was hearing from other people that some of the BW3's Buffalo Wild Wings aren't using the buffalo or the beef tallow. So who knows when you go to a restaurant? You're rolling the dice, you're taking a risk. I'll tell you what, though, the Costco buffalo wings in the air fryer, those are incredible. Alyssa just made some of those yesterday. Before I was doing Lion, I'd have those maybe once a week. So that was another go-to at Costco. Now, for me at Costco, if I'm not getting steak from my neighbors, I get steak from Costco. And one of my favorite ways to do it is to get a ribeye roast, get the whole thing, and cut it myself. Why do I do that? I think it's a little bit cheaper, or it's about the same price if you get the ribeyes cut up from Costco. But I can cut it as thick as I want. And that is what I like, because I'm a man. I'm a carnivore, and I eat a lot of meat. I can't eat a little thin ribeye, or I got to cook up two. I would prefer to have one big, thick ribeye. And if you go to Costco, you get that ribeye roast, you can cut it. The other reason I like it is, this just may be in my brain, it's probably just psychology, but I feel like it tastes better when I get a ribeye roast and I cut it up. I've had some people leave me comments and they say when you get the cut ribeye from Costco, they'll tenderize it, maybe they'll hit it with a meat tenderizer, or they'll inject it, or I don't know what they're saying. They'll aerate it, they'll put some holes in it. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if what I'm saying is true, but when I get the ribeye roast and I cut it myself, it's so easy to do. I can control the thickness, and it seems to taste better for me. Maybe it's just oxidation too, because if they cut the ribeye and it's sitting there and it's getting air on the top, air on the bottom, who knows? But that's my go-to, is ribeye. Nice, fatty ribeye I can cut myself. Now you might be asking, well, that's nice for you, Carrie. How do you cook a thick ribeye? If a lot of you have seen me do it, I've got two methods, and I'm going to do a video on method 2. I'm going to call it Stupid Simple Steak. It's the easiest way to do it. The thick ribeye, what I normally do is I put it on my smoker, and I'll smoke it until it reaches 110 degrees internal temperature. Get yourself a meat thermometer. I have a Bluetooth one. It's fabulous. It rings me on the phone when I get to the preset temperature I want. And then I'll take it in the house, and I'll put it over a cast iron skillet with some beef tallow. A lot of people can't do that because, right, you don't have a smoker. It's a pain in the butt in wintertime. Here's method 2 that I'm going to be doing a video on it. Back to the good old air fryer. I put my air fryer on the lowest temperature. I put my super thick ribeye in the air fryer. And you're going to ask me about time and temperature. You got to get a Bluetooth thermometer or an instant read one, and then you just keep checking it. I am so good. I'm not bragging. I've cooked so many steaks over the course of this last year. I don't need thermometers anymore. I could just time it. I could tell. I do the touch test where I can feel it. If it feels like this, it's medium. If it feels a little squishier, it's rare. You'll get there eventually, but use the meat thermometer. Don't mess up your meat. This is a stupid simple one, and a video is coming soon on this. You cut the steak super thick. You put it in your air fryer at the lowest temperature. Mine will go down to 250 degrees. And I'll put it in there, and maybe 10 minutes or so, I'll flip it, maybe 10 minutes or so again. Again, it really depends on the thickness. And you'll look at it, and it'll look gross. It'll look gray and not very appetizing. But I'll get it to about 110 is the good number. Use a Bluetooth thermometer, 110 degrees. Right before it's at about 110, maybe at around 105, this is when you go into action. You get your cast iron skillet, you get it on the stovetop, and you get that sucker searing hot. You put beef tallow on it. That is the best. And I get Wagyu beef tallow from Amazon. I don't have an affiliate link for you. Just go on Amazon, search for Wagyu beef tallow. I love this stuff. It's $30 for a little container this big. You're gonna say, Mr. Rich Guy, but I'll tell you what, that Wagyu beef tallow lasts a long time. I take a spoonful of that, put it in a cast iron skillet. I get that searing hot. In the air fryer, once that sucker hits 110, I pull it out with some tongs. I take it over to the searing hot cast iron skillet. I put it fat side down. So if there's fat on the edge of the ribeye, depending on your steak, a lot of times strip steak will have fat on the side of it. Sometimes ribeye doesn't. But if it does, you put that fat side down into the tallow. You let that fat render and get crispy. I'm telling you right now, this is better than the reverse sear on the smoker. I've been doing this for like a week now. It is so good. So you fat side down, and then you put the fat side down. You leave it. You don't want to burn it, but you leave it longer than you think. I get a nice crispy bark on it. Then I flip it over, get a nice crispy bark on the other side. I remove it from the heat. I let it sit for a while. I like it to get up to about 125, 130 degrees or so. You got to look at your temperature. They tell you online. I like it rare. I'm going more rare with every one of these things. The last tip is this. Let it test. So just to recap really quickly, this is stupid simple steak. Anyone can do this if you have an air fryer. You can even do it in the oven. You get a thick steak. You got to get it up to temperature first. So I put it in the air fryer, 250, lowest temperature, about 20 minutes until it gets to 110 degrees, and then sear it on the cast iron skillet in beef tallow. Let it rest. Don't you want to cut into it? I know I do too. You got to let it rest. If you cut into it immediately, all those juices will run out. You're going to lose that flavor. The last tip on this is I add butter, Kerrygold butter, which I'm going to get from Costco right now. I love Kerrygold butter. I put a little pat of that on the end. I just let it melt over the top, or I'll rub it over the top of the crusty bark on the steak. And I've been using this new salt that my buddy Adam, Carnivore Diet, told me about. Dr. Baker uses it. A lot of carnivores use it. I've always used Redmond's real salt. If you're using that, it's great. Continue using it. But if you want to up your game a little bit, I highly recommend this. And I'm not saying this to sell you it. I'm not giving you an affiliate link. You just search it on Amazon or whatever. Malden's sea salt. It's flaky sea salt. I love this stuff. It makes a little crunchy texture on the steak. It's so good. When I'm finishing the steak in the cast iron skillet, I'll sprinkle that salt on there. I let it rest for 10-15 minutes on my cutting board. Additionally, depending on the fat content in the ribeye, sometimes I'll cut up a little bit of that Kerrygold and I'll eat it with the steak. I always do that if it's a strip steak. Sometimes if it's a ribeye and it's really fatty, I won't do that. If it's less fat in the ribeye, I'll add some butter to it. Once you cut into that steak, I like to slice the steak all the way up, get a whole bunch of slices prepared, and then again, I'll flake some more of that salt over the top. You'll have some butter and you'll have that tallow drippings left in your pan. I pour that over the top of the steak and it's sizzling. I like to pour it over it after I've sliced the steak and you've got the pre-cut slices, and then sprinkle the salt over it. I will tell you what, you will thank me. I don't know, that steak with an air fryer. I do it in an air fryer and then in the cast iron skillet. What is the trick to it? You're getting a really good crust with that beef tallow in the cast iron skillet. You're still cooking it slowly, and then that salt. The combination of those things, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not trying to hype this up. I know I've said it before on the channel, like this is the best steak I've ever eaten. I said that before when I smoked it, and it was at that time, but I'm telling you what, this is better. And it's so stupid, I'm not even smoking it. You don't even have that smoky flavor. The smoky flavor is nice to change it up, but anyhow, I'm gonna do a video on this at some point. I know the purpose of this video was to talk about the grocery haul, so I'll get back into that now. I get the ribeye from Costco. I get the Kerrygold butter from Costco. I'm gonna get the grass-fed beef patties from Costco, and I get the chicken wings from Costco. The other thing I get from Costco, my daughter Lily really likes this, and I like it because before I was doing Lion, about once a week or every 2 weeks, Lily would cook this up for me. Salmon, nice little switch up. Every now and then. And at Costco, you got to look. They've got the farm-raised salmon. That stuff is crappy. Bill Knott was telling me about this the other day. They have naturally caught, what is it called? Wild. They have wild salmon or farm-raised. It's a little bit more expensive, but I go for the wild stuff. I know a lot of people, this is Mr. Rich Guy, this is nice, but I'm eating way less food on Carnivore. And I don't have doctor bills anymore. Like, people think I'm joking about that, but I used to go to the doctor like twice a month, and then it would be prescriptions, and I'm self-insured. So my insurance and my prescription cost was through the roof, like literally hundreds of dollars a month I'm saving on prescriptions. So, I don't have doctor bills anymore. So I splurge a little bit, but you don't have to do the fanciest things. Like, if I could only afford the farm-raised salmon, it's still 100 times better than the standard American diet I was eating before. Dr. Barry's done videos on this. If I could only afford hot dogs, if I could only afford the cheapest ground beef from Aldi's, it's perfectly fine and 1,000,000 times better than the standard American diet with chronic inflammation and sugar. I would totally be eating processed meat and turkey and chicken, and I still do that, but I would be eating more of it. So what else do I get from Costco? I'm sorry, I'm rambling now. Bacon. We get bacon from Costco. The girls love bacon. It's a staple of every meal. I like to get eggs from my neighbor. Here's the trickiest thing with eggs. And again, I'm going to preface this. You get the cheapest, dirtiest eggs you can get, 1,000,000 times better than eating a bowl of Cheerios with glyphosate and pesticides and sugar in it. Get the cheapest eggs you can afford. If you can afford more, get the better ones. So the best eggs you can get, and I am working so hard to get towards this, my neighbor, they'll sell them. If you can get pasture-raised chicken eggs, where the chickens are just eating insects and eating naturally what they should, they find a mouse, they eat the mouse, that is the best. Why is that? Because if you grain feed a chicken, those grains likely have glyphosate in them. They got some toxins in them. They got some crap that you don't want to eat. The chicken eats that, it lays an egg, you eat the egg, you're eating a lot of those grains. A chicken has one stomach. A cow has multiple stomachs. A cow that's mostly grass-fed and then is finished on grains is still pretty darn good because its stomachs, multiple chambered stomachs, can process through a lot of the toxins and the crap in there. Michaela Peterson's done videos on this, and she's learned that it's like ruminant animals, multi-chambered stomach animals, are the only things her stomach can tolerate because she's so sensitive. I think I'm kind of close to what she is too, because I have been having some reactions to eating chicken or eating eggs that isn't as clean as it could be. We got our own chickens on our homestead. We have, I think, 15 chickens right now, and we're going to get more. I just have to better organize the eggs. I eat a ton of eggs from my own chickens, but there hasn't been enough to keep up with the supply. I eat so many eggs. The girls eat eggs, and then we got Airbnb guests that have been eating eggs, so we're thinking of getting more chickens. So a lot of times you will see me buying eggs from Costco, and people are like, why are you doing that? You have your own chickens? We're not keeping up with demand. I eat a ton of eggs. Like Emma and I will do our Power Bowl, which we can buy all the ingredients for a Power Bowl at Costco right now. What is a Power Bowl? If you're new to the channel, it's one of my favorite things on Carnivore. It got me through Carnivore. You eat a Power Bowl, you are going to thank me. You are going to personally write me a handwritten letter thanking me if you haven't had one before. A Power Bowl is beef, butter, bacon, eggs all in one bowl. Here's how you do it. Cast iron skillet, you cook your pound of bacon or 2 pounds of bacon or whatever it may be. We have a huge cast iron skillet, so we do a huge, I'll tell you right now, the biggest one we ever did. Cook up a pound of bacon. I like the thick cut bacon. I get the bacon from Costco. Now you gotta be careful with bacon, and there's bacon you can get out there that has 0 sugar in it. Sometimes you'll look, it'll say 0 carbs, but it might still have a little bit of sugar in it. And if you're like me and you got a highly addictive behavior, you might eat the whole pack of bacon. You're still getting sugar and carbs in there, even though it says it. You really gotta do your research on the bacon. But cast iron skillet, this is from Costco. We're talking about grocery haul right now. I get bacon from Costco. I get ground beef from Costco. I get eggs from Costco. Beef, butter, and I get butter from Costco. Kerrygold grass-fed butter. Here's how you do here's how you do beef, butter, bacon, eggs. I did a whole video on it. I'll describe it to you quickly and then I'll move on here. Cast iron skillet, bacon. Slice it up into little pieces about this big, 2 inches long. You cook that in the cast iron skillet. You save the bacon grease. It's a little bit too much bacon grease to eat it all in this thing, but you could if you're adventurous. But I save a lot of the bacon grease. I leave some of it in there. Then I remove the bacon. I put it on a little plate off to the side, maybe with some paper towel. Next up, eggs. Scramble up the eggs. You keep some of that bacon grease in the pan. You put the eggs in there and you scramble the eggs in the bacon grease. In a separate pan, not a non-stick pan. I have iMarku pans at home. IMARKU. They're hybrid cast iron. They don't have that non-stick forever chemical garbage that you don't want. I'll cook up a pound of ground beef separately in a little pan. So I got the bacon cooked off to the side. The scrambled eggs are almost done. When the scrambled eggs are almost finished and I'm finishing up the ground beef, I will add my Kerrygold butter to the ground beef. I like the texture on my ground beef. This is a little game changer for me. I learned it in my 1 year on Carnivore. I don't like my ground beef with a rubbery texture. You can cook ground beef and it's cooked and you eat it. It's soft and it's rubbery. I don't like that. I like it crusty. I like crispy edges, almost like a smash burger. So I will add butter and I'll get it little crispy edges on the ground beef. I will also add butter to the scrambled eggs and I finish those. Then this is the fun part at the end. You incorporate everything into the scrambled eggs in the cast iron skillet. You dump your ground beef in there, which has your fat from your ground beef and it's got your butter. You dump your bacon in there and then you additionally put some Kerrygold butter in there and you mix it all up, and that is a Power Bowl. And one time Emma and I did that in this huge cast iron skillet we have. And we did 36 eggs. 36 eggs. And we were like, yay, we're meal prepping. This is gonna last us a week. I kid you not. It was 2.5 days and it was all gone. But it's a great thing to prep. So get yourself a big cast iron skillet. If you can prep a Power Bowl, don't just make one for the day. Make a whole bunch. Put it in a nice glass container in the refrigerator. And oh my goodness, you get hungry later in the day or the next morning, you don't want to make up a steak. I can't tell you how many times I'll just eat it cold. And it is delicious, especially with the thick cut bacon, nice crispy ground beef. So that is another thing I'm purchasing on my Costco grocery haul right now. Kerrygold butter, ground beef. Now at Costco, they sell ground beef. They sell organic ground beef. I think it's around $20 for a 3-pack. It comes in 3 1-pound packs. It's nice and convenient because you can have the 1 pound pack if you just want to cook a pound up, versus you can get it cheaper if you get the whole package from Costco that they package. Sometimes we get that because we go through so much ground beef. Other times, for convenience sake, we get the little 3-pack, and then we can use it as needed, or we could even throw one in the freezer if we got some ground beef already. So I will be purchasing that at Costco. I'll be purchasing the salmon. I'll be purchasing the chicken, the buffalo chicken wings at Costco. What else do I get from Costco? What do they call it? They have a package at Costco of, they call it stew meat. It's just beef stew. It's beef. It's little chunks that are cut up for you. You could probably do it a lot cheaper other ways. Sometimes I get it for just the convenience sake. I did this last week. Oh my goodness, I got to do a video on this thing. I've been doing Lion Diet and I'm loving it with different recipes. You think it's so restricted, but I'm going to tell you right now how I do this. I got to do a video on this one as well. I overcomplicate things. You guys don't have to overcomplicate things. You could take this stew meat, you could throw it in a slow cooker. I like to do it low and slow. I like to do it overnight. I'll sometimes throw it on maybe 12 hours. Like, I get up earlier than that, but sometimes I'll just leave it. I'll let it keep going. You could just put it in a slow cooker. The stew meat from Costco I'm talking about now. I'm going to buy some right now. I like to put water in it, but just a little bit of water. I don't like to cover the whole thing. What'll happen is you let that thing go, and the next day, the meat that doesn't have the water, that's not submerged in the water, that's sticking out over the top, it'll get this little crust over it. And it's almost like a seasoning. It's flavorful and delicious. So that's how I do that. That is the easiest way to do it. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit more complicated, but oh my goodness, it was so delicious. I've been experimenting with this. This is what I did. I get the slow cooker ready. I get the stew meat from Costco, big, huge package. I get my cast iron skillet, my Imarku hybrid, like I just mentioned for the steak. I put my Wagyu beef tallow, a spoonful of it, in the cast iron. I get the cast iron searing hot. Then I take that stew meat, I put it in the cast iron real quick, super just flash hot. I just want to get a hot crust on it. You got to get that thing as hot as you can. You get the hot crust on that stew meat, and then you throw it in the slow cooker. The beauty of this is you're adding beef tallow, which is more fat, and you're adding a nice crust to the steak that locks in the juices. I do that. It takes like 3 batches because there's so much stew meat it doesn't fit in the cast iron skillet. So then all of my beef stew meat has a nice crisp on it. It's in the cast iron skillet, but it's also got more tallow that's cooked into the crust. And then I pour the tallow and the fat from the cast iron skillet into the slow cooker. So we're upping the fat content. Then I take some water and I put it in the cast iron skillet, and I put a little more tallow in there too. And I scrape with a wood spoon any of the crust that's on there. That is delicious flavor. You don't want to lose that. And then I pour that water into the slow cooker. And then in addition to it, I'll normally take a half of block of Kerrygold butter, and I'll throw that in the slow cooker. I put it on low. I do it right before I go to bed. I've done this 3 or 4 times now. I do it before I go to bed. I just let that thing go all night. Sometimes it's like 10 hours, sometimes it's like 12 hours, I don't care. The next morning, I'll mix it up a little bit, let it go for maybe another hour. Now, here's the trick that I just did this last time. You could just eat it like that. It's fantastic. And you get a broth. You get a bone broth that you'll want to slap your grandmother. It is that delicious. You will personally write me a handwritten letter telling me, oh my goodness, that was the most delicious thing I've ever eaten. That broth in there is incredible. So you get the broth. So the next day, what do? You can take a bowl, you put the chunks of meat in there, the nice crust on them, and they're falling apart at this time. And then you take a ladle and you put that broth in there, and you basically have like a stew or a soup. But I will straight up drink that broth afterwards. And it's full of fat from the tallow and the butter. And then, when you finish it, of course, you put your Kerrygold salt, your Redmond salt, or your flake salt. Your Malden's flake salt is my favorite. That's what I finish it with. Sorry, I'm rambling now. I get a little excited, but this isn't that is 100% right there. It gets better. I was like, what if I were to sear this another time? And that's what I did just a couple days ago. The next morning after that slow cook for 12 hours, I fired up my cast iron skillet again. I put another spoonful of beef tallow in there, and I took the slow cooked stew meat out of the slow cooker. I used like a a spoon that had holes in it, so I didn't get any of the broth. And I put that on there, and it just went tss, tss, and I got another crust on it, real crisp and crusty. And then I finished it with a little bit more butter, and then I flaked the Malden salt on the top. I am telling you, this is one of the most incredible things. I know I keep saying it. It was so good. My daughter Alyssa, who's doing carnivore with me now, Emma too. Alyssa, what happened to be right there, I was like, try this right now. She was like, that was one of the best things I've ever eaten. It was incredible. Now I know carnivore is so simple, and I just completely overcomplicated it. It doesn't have to be that complicated. You could get the stew meat from Costco that I'm about to get. You could throw it in a slow cooker. You could put some water, some salt, maybe a little butter, and just leave it, and it will be incredible. Cheers to that. The other thing I do at Costco, I stock up. I'm driving there right now. You guys are like, wow, Costco's pretty far. Yeah, it is pretty far. Wow, there's 545 of you on here. You guys are incredible. Thank you so much. Hey, tomorrow night, Tuesday night, shout out my buddy Jeff DeProsperous. Jeff, Adam from Carnivore Today, my buddy JT from Poco Moonshine Family, the four of us, we're doing a carnivore coffee talk. Carnivore coffee talk. Chat. Carnivore coffee chat. I don't even drink coffee, but when we visited Jeff, we went to Starbucks with Jeff and Dwight and Adam and myself, and Jeff was like, oh, Carrie, I do this every week. It's so nice to just chat carnivore with other like-minded individuals in person. And boy, was he right. I was like, this is great. We carnivores are living in a world of sugar and processed junk food, and everyone's normalized it. And to be able to talk to some like-minded individuals and just chat, like, what did you learn on carnivore? What did you do? Like just the story I gave you about double searing my slow-cooked stew meat. We're going to talk about stuff like that. It's just a fun conversation. We're doing that Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Maybe every Tuesday. We'll see how it goes. So check that out. But thank you guys so much. This is crazy. I'm about an hour from Costco. So the other thing I do at Costco, when I get all of this stuff I just described, I stock up. I get a lot, I put it in the freezer, and then I try to prepare things. The other thing I'll be getting today is, besides the stew meat, is, what do they call it? Pot roast meat? You guys probably know what I'm talking about, but if you just go to the fresh meat section, not frozen, where they got all the ribeyes and the steaks, it's right next to the stew meat. It's probably the same meat. It's two big chunks of like pot roast meat. The girls love those. You take those, throw it in the slow cooker again, leave it overnight. By the next day, it's just falling apart. Add a little bit of butter, make sure you get the fat up there. Those cuts of meat have some good fat in it, and I will intentionally pick out the fat of your cuts. If you take nothing else away from me today, take this away. As Dr. Kiltz told me, it should be called fativore. If you're struggling at all on carnivore, you need to be getting more fat. So I'm always looking, if I'm getting steak at Costco, you could get the strip steak or you can get the ribeye. Ribeye's got more fat, so I get ribeye. Every now and then, though, I do eat strip steak, but I will supplement. I'll add butter to it to increase the fat. A lot more butter than you probably think. Hopefully I'm still here. I think I went to a little dead zone there for a second. So it's all about the fat when I go to Costco. I will be getting fat. Now I get my beef tallow on Amazon. I don't know if they have tallow at Costco, but I will be. I don't know. Hopefully I reconnected there. I think I dropped off for a second. I'm almost at Costco now. Maybe I'll end this with saying it's all about the fat on carnivore. And so when I'm at Costco now, I'm looking for the fattier cuts of meat, the ribeye. I'm looking for the Kerrygold butter, more fat. I don't know if Costco has beef tallow. I'm gonna check right now. I mostly get my beef tallow on Amazon. I get that Wagyu beef tallow. It's just been good stuff. I bet you they have tallow here though, but I'm gonna look. If you take nothing else away, I think this cut off when I said this before, go for the fat. It should be called fativore. Dr. Kiltz taught me that. He's so true. You cannot survive or thrive on carnivore eating just lean cuts of meat. You got to have the fat. What else will I get from Costco? I'm getting a ribeye roast. I'm getting bacon for the girls. I'm getting grass-fed beef patties. I'm getting chicken. I'm getting salmon. Oh, I'm going to get some cheese. Emma was struggling a little bit, and she was under the impression you can't have cheese on carnivore. I'm like, no, you can have cheese. Many carnivores have cheese. Some it stalls, it causes problems for me, so I don't have cheese. So Emma was under the misconception she can't have cheese. So I'm going to find her a nice hard cheese. Another thing I'm going to get for the girls for convenience, shout out Jeff DeProsperous, is prosciutto. They sell prosciutto here. And I never knew about that till I visited Jeff, and he got it for me, and I was like, I'm not eating that. And then he showed me the ingredients. It's pork and salt. That's all it is. It's pork and salt. It looks like a piece of ham. It looks like lunch meat. And it's in the refrigerator section, and you can leave it in the fridge, and if you get hungry and you want a snack, you have some prosciutto. Another thing I will get from Costco from time to time is shrimp. When I first started carnivore, oh, sorry, I gotta go here. When I first started carnivore, my first week on meals was ribeye and shrimp. And I'd cook shrimp and I'd add a bunch of butter to it to get the fat up for it. I don't eat a lot of shrimp anymore. I don't know why. The girls don't seem to like shrimp too much. So it's usually I'm making it, eating it for myself, but that's my Costco haul right there. Maybe I will add on my community tab after. I'll do a short showing you inside here what I'm going to be getting. But that is it. The fatty cuts of meat. The beef patties, I need a whole bunch. Emma was like, make sure you get those. I'm going to get some good high quality hard cheese for Emma. I'm going to get some bacon for the girls. I'm going to get some ground beef for everybody. I'm going to get some salmon for Lily and ribeye roast for myself. I am going to get more for myself this week than normal. Notice I park at the edge of the parking lot because us humans need exercise and sunshine. I'm going to get pot roast and that stew meat and maybe another thing of steaks because I'm on lion diet now. I'm on day 5 or 6. And so I need a lot more meat than normal. Hey, here's one other power tip for you guys. We have the Healing Humanity and the Compassionate Carnivore cups. I feel like such a traitor because I don't have it now. I left mine at the movie theater. And Emma, my sweet little daughter Emma, actually made this up for me. Knew I was running out. She brought it for me. Such a good kid. All my kids are so good. But I forgot my other one. But if you want one of those water bottles, I highly recommend them. I'm not trying to sell you something. If you buy one of our water bottles, every penny goes towards the documentary. But the reason I'm saying it isn't just to make more money for the documentary. When you have this double-walled metal, this ice lasts forever. And for the longest time at home, I would drink water because that's all I do is I drink water every day for 365 days now. You just put it in a cup. Like every night before I go to bed, I get a cup of water. I set it on my nightstand next to me. Well, even if you just have a regular cup with ice in it, usually like an hour or two later is warm water. These metal cups like this, like the ones that we're offering, I'll wake up the next morning, there's still ice in it. It's incredible how well insulated these things are. So there's my Costco run tips and tricks. The beef stew meat has been the game changer for me. I like to think of these things because there's a lot of new carnivores on here. If I was just starting carnivore today and going to Costco for the first time, that would be my biggest tip to myself is number 1, focus on the fat. Ribeyes, Kerrygold butter. Eggs, egg yolk, eat a ton of eggs. The other thing I would suggest to my former self is chill out on the bacon. Yes, bacon's fine, but you can overdo it. You don't need that much bacon. Portion it out. The other thing I would recommend is the beef stew meat that's cut up already. I know it's kind of a convenience thing, but man, it is so nice to have that in the slow cooker. I will cook up such a huge batch of that. And then like tomorrow, for example, I'll cook it up tonight. It'll be ready tomorrow morning. I'll have that maybe for lunch or something. But then the next day I still got leftovers and it's so convenient. It's so easy and you just warm it up or you can even throw it back in the cast iron skillet to get it crispy again. Those are some things I would tell my former self just starting on carnivore. The biggest mistake I made was not getting enough fat. I did in the beginning. I heard this. I started with ribeyes, but for one reason or another, I veered away. I was like, oh, I really like the taste of strip steaks. I really like the taste of tenderloin. I really like chicken. And before I knew it, I was eating too much of that. And how do you know? Your bowel movements. It is what it is. It's just nature. It's science. If you have really bad diarrhea, you're getting too much fat. If you're not going frequently enough, you probably aren't getting enough fat. However, that doesn't mean it's a bad thing or you're constipated. On the standard American diet, you're eating a ton of waste. And so you're going way more. A lot of people start carnivore, myself included. I was like, I didn't go for 4 days. What's going on? I must be constipated. But my stomach didn't hurt and I felt great. If you're not going for a couple days, it's because you're putting less waste in your body, and that should make you really, really happy. It makes me happy. Why does pooping less make me happy? Because I realized the toll I was putting on my body. All of those decades, for decades, I was eating the wrong foods. So much waste in my body that took a huge toll on my digestive system, processing all of this garbage that in the end went right down the toilet. Chronic inflammation for decades and decades. Bowel movement a day, sometimes twice, because of so much waste I was putting in my body that was all unnecessary. I get all of the nutrients I need from meat. I'm going to the bathroom less often because I'm putting less waste in my body. That toll that has to put on the human body is incredible. It has to take years off of your life, and no wonder I was constantly in a brain fog. No wonder I was constantly fatigued all of the time. It takes an incredible amount of energy for your body to process all of these unfamiliar poisons and sugars and seed oils that the human body was never intended to eat. All of that wasted energy is now excess energy I have now, which is why I'm talking so fast. And you may wonder, is this guy on a caffeine kick? No, this is water and carnivore, my friends. I've eaten nothing but meat. I have no sugar and I have all of this energy. I will be up until midnight tonight with excess energy, whereas before I could barely keep my eyes open. I'm living life to my fullest potential, full of energy, fearless, and I have the energy to do it in excess because I'm putting the proper fuel in my body. So I hope that helped you guys. Thanks for coming along with me to my Costco ride. I'm going to go into Costco now. I'm going to buy this stuff. I'll do a short afterwards. I'll post it on my channel, so check back in if you would like. Tomorrow, oh, I've got a good video in store for you tomorrow. I interviewed this woman, Mimi. Mimi was diagnosed with Parkinson's, rheumatoid arthritis. She suffered a stroke, and then while getting treated for all of these things, while she could barely walk and she was on just a concoction of medication, hopeless, full of pain, she was in the hospital, and I guess the IV caused her to get an infection, a deadly infection that almost killed her. She found Carnivore Diet, and what do you think happened? This is one of the most incredible carnivore stories I've ever heard. I was at the edge of my seat interviewing her. I had all these questions prepared, and I was on the edge of my seat listening, hanging on every word she told me. I just can't believe her story. She's almost 70 now, and she is the picture of health and youth, and she was barely able to walk. And now she's planning in September to do a 500-mile, that's right, I said 500-mile hike. That's what she's going to do, from going from barely walking to that. What an incredible individual. I was so fortunate, thankful, grateful, blessed to interview her and hear her story. That will be live on my channel tomorrow. You guys are going to want to check that one out for sure. If you want to learn more about our documentary, oh my goodness, we got some exciting news on that. I'll end it on this though. Visit healinghumanity.movie. And if you want to donate, it's donate.healinghumanity.movie. We filmed Bill in Alaska, Maggie and Jeff. We filmed Dr. Hampton. We filmed Dr. Barry. We did the 24-hour live stream. We got so much going on, but we've got a lot more work to do. And my goodness, the plans are in motion. We've got a setup of, we're going to be filming Dr. Anthony Chafee, Dr. Baker. I think Dr. Kiltz is on board right now. 10 people when we do KetoCon in Austin. We're going to film 10 people over the course of that time. It's going to be incredible. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm so thankful, so grateful, so blessed. I can't believe it's been a year already. I hope you guys are all doing well on carnivore or eating the proper human diet. If I can encourage you at all, just return to what is natural. Do it today. Everything you eat today is going to be natural, one ingredient foods. Get off of your phone. Go outside. Deep breaths. Fresh air, sunlight in your eyes, exercise, go for a walk in nature, look up at the birds, look up at the trees. Humanity has drifted so far away from what is natural, and I'll tell you what, all of the problems we have in the world are a direct result of that. You are going to feel incredible the more you get back to what is natural for humans, primarily in what we're eating, but also our everyday activities. So I hope that helps you guys out a lot. Thank you so much. I am thankful, grateful, and blessed for every one of you. Have a great day. Beep, beep.